Sup guys, it's Alex here and welcome to a new episode of the Bracketology update. This one is for January 29th, as you can see right there. I'm sorry for this video going up pretty late. It'll probably be up around 8:15 or 8:30. I'm recording it right there, as you see, at 7:33. And before I get into the Bracketology, let me just tell you guys about the NCAA tournament ticket giveaway I'll be doing. If I get to 2,000 subscribers by March 1st, which as you can see right now, it's January 29th, I will be giving away an NCAA tournament ticket to a first round site. More details to come on that if I get to 2,000, which hopefully you guys will get me to. Make sure you like and subscribe if you are new, and then you'll be able to enter the giveaway, and I'll be giving away one just like I did last year. I think the guy ended up going to Pittsburgh. It was a good time and all that, and yeah, make sure you subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and let's go ahead and get into it. So, as you see, you guys saw the Bracketify thing, but after another crazy weekend of college basketball where Kentucky beat Kansas, Purdue was able to upset Michigan State at home by 10 points, even though they were up by like 20-something, and then Michigan State came back. There's just been a crazy weekend of college basketball, and Joe Lunardi's released his new update. Let's go ahead and do a team-by-team view of the current bracket. Duke remains a 1, TCU remains an 8 after beating Florida in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Then Ole Miss is down to a 9, Maryland's down to a 5, Murray State remains a 12, Villanova's up to a 4, Yale is new to the field as a 13, Buffalo remains a 6, Arizona State and VCU are still in the playing game. Those two teams are living on the bubble right now. And then Purdue is now up to a 3 seed, which is crazy to think about. I really like that team with Carson Edwards. Then we got Cincinnati remaining a 7 seed. Texas is now down to a 10. Kentucky remains a 2. My big blue nation right there. Then Georgia Mason is now a 15. And we'll go and move over to this side. And I'll be going to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 in Louisville. I bought my ticket yesterday. I'm so freaking excited for it. I'll be making, I'm going to be vlogging it for you guys so you guys can see each individual matchup right there. Could be Virginia and Michigan, maybe throw Marquette or Nevada in there. We'll see what happens. Maybe another upstart team. Virginia is still the 1 seed, number 2 overall. Oklahoma is now down to an 8 seed after they just got blown out by like 30 at home to Baylor last night. Ohio State is up to a 9 now. LSU remains a 5. Lipscomb remains a 12. Nevada is now down to a 4, which is kind of a surprise. They've only lost 1 game the whole season. Then Texas State remains a 13. Mississippi State's up to a 6. Minnesota's an 11. Marquette is up to a 3, and you guys know I love Marquette this season. North Texas is new to the field as a 14. Kansas State remains a 7. UCF remains a 10. Michigan remains a 2. And Lehigh is new to the field as a 15. Then down here in Anaheim on the west side of the bracket, we have Michigan State as the 1. Northern Colorado is new to the field. Washington and Syracuse are now moving up the bracket to 8 and 9 respectively. Texas Tech is now down to a 5. Alabama's played their way into the field. Seton Hall is about to play their way off of it. Louisville's a 4 seed, remains a 4 seed. Northern Kentucky remains a 13. Then Iowa and Wofford keep their spots as 6 and 11. Houston, with the 1 loss, is still a 3 seed. Grand Canyon's new to the field as a 14. I really like them. Then Florida State is now up to a 7 after a start. Looks like they may be turning around their season. We'll see what happens with it. Baylor is new to the field. They've been killing it recently. Just as I mentioned earlier, won by 30 on their road against Oklahoma and won against Alabama in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Gonzaga is now at 2, and UC Irvine's down to a 15. Then we have Tennessee remaining a 1 seed. Then NC State remains an 8 after a crazy win over Clemson. I was watching that game on my phone. They hit a buzzer beater. They were down by like 6 or something like that with 19 seconds to go. Still found a way to come back and win. That was pretty crazy to see. Nebraska's now down to a 9. Iowa State remains a 5. Same with Hofstra as a 12. Virginia Tech's now down to a 4. Vermont's new to the field as a 13. Wisconsin's down to a 6. St. John's is down to an 11. Then Kansas is now down to a 3 after losing it at Kentucky. And they were losing by like 9 whenever I showed you guys that clip of Kansas and Texas. It's on the commercial right now. And South Dakota State with Mike Dunn remain a 14. And Auburn's now down to a 7, which, man, if you're an Auburn fan, these last couple weeks have been killing you. I mean, they've lost like 3 or 4 in a row at this point, I think. Indiana, same with them. They're now down to a 10. North Carolina's up to a 2, and Radford's down to a 15. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the bubble as well. Last 4 buys, these teams. Indiana's starting to play themselves off. Minnesota's building some momentum for themselves. UCF and St. John's are there. Don't know if they'll be in the tournament by the time it comes to the tournament. Arizona State, Seton Hall, VCU, and Alabama are the last 4 in. First 4 out are Florida, who would have been in had they beaten TCU on Saturday. Creighton, Butler, and Utah State. And then the next 4 out are San Francisco, Temple, Arizona, and Clemson. So as you guys know, if you are new to the channel, I go to Bracketify.com. The link for this will be in the description. and I create a bracket based off of Joe Lunardi's Bracketology for you guys to go ahead and vote. I do this every time there's a Bracketology, which it looks like it's going to be on Tuesdays and Fridays. So make sure you watch, subscribe, and have those post notifications turned on for whenever I release the bracket. And I created it this morning, and people, you guys are already voting. It already has over 2,000 votes, which is crazy. Didn't even make my video about it, and it's already at 2,000. So thank you guys for looking out for that. And without any further ado, let's get into my picks. So first up, we have Duke and the winner of Prairie View A&M and Sam Houston State. It's obvious who's going to win that. I say Sharpie at just like, oh gosh, I just had dinner. Then TCU and Ole Miss. I honestly think that TCU is going to win this match. Most people are picking Ole Miss at this point, but I like TCU there. But I like Murray State right here. I do agree with the nation so far. I like them upsetting Maryland with John Morant. Villanova will beat Yale. Buffalo will beat the winner of Arizona State and VCU, which at this point I don't know who would win that. Maybe Arizona State. Then Purdue will beat Loyola Chicago. This one's pretty split right now, Cincinnati and Texas, which now Texas is up 24-18, as you can see there against Kansas. So might as well go with Texas. I mean, they're beating Kansas at this point. Don't know if they'll win the game by the end, but I like Texas there. Then Kentucky will beat George Mason. Michigan State will beat Northern Colorado. Syracuse, yeah, 29-4. Everybody's picking Syracuse. I got to agree with them. I'm picking Syracuse moving on. And Texas Tech will beat the winner of Alabama and Seton Hall, which I think will be Alabama. Louisville will beat Northern Kentucky. I think Iowa does beat Wofford. I know I've been talking about Wofford a lot in my previous videos, but I like Iowa there. Houston will beat Grand Canyon. Yep, this one's really close. Florida State and Baylor. I've been talking about how hot Baylor's been recently. Why not have them move on as a 10 seed and continue their hot streak? Then we got Gonzaga beating UC Irvine. Virginia beating Rider. Then Ohio State, yeah, I got to agree with Ohio State beating Oklahoma. Oklahoma just lost at home by 30, and they just have not been killing it recently. Same with Ohio State, but I mean, Ohio State's a better team at this point, and they haven't lost by 30 at home. And then I honestly like Lipscomb here over the guys Naz Reid. I know I couldn't remember what his name was on Friday for LSU. I know only 3 people have picked Lipscomb, but I mean, they've taken a lot of at-large teams and the NCAA, like Division I, like Louisville. They've taken them down to the wire and have been doing really good. So I'm going to go with Lipscomb moving on there past LSU. Nevada, I think, will beat Texas Tech. Or not Texas Tech, Texas State. I might catch myself before somebody comments on it. Then I think Minnesota will upset Mississippi State here as an 11 seed. Marquette will beat North Texas. Kansas State will beat UCF. Michigan will beat Lehigh. Tennessee will beat the winner of Norfolk State and Morris. NC State, I think, will beat Nebraska. Iowa State will beat Hofstra. I'm not going with too many upset picks here. Virginia Tech beating Vermont. Ethan Happen, Wisconsin moving on past St. John's. Kansas beating Mike Daum and South Dakota State. Then right here, honestly, don't know who's going to win this matchup with Romeo Langford and Indiana against Auburn. Both teams are just falling off the map in these last few weeks. Indiana's lost like 6 or 7 in a row at this point. But I'm going to go with Auburn there. I mean, they've been the better team all season. They were projected to be a 2 or 3 seed at one point. I'm going to go with Auburn, and North Carolina will beat Radford. And for a spot in the Sweet 16, Duke is going over TCU. Then I like Villanova beating Murray State. Though 10 people have put Murray State onto the Sweet 16, they could be a nice upset pick there. Then I like Purdue and Carson Edwards over Buffalo. Kentucky is going to destroy Texas. Then Michigan State will beat Syracuse. I know they had this matchup last year, and Syracuse is able to pull off the upset here against Michigan State, but I don't think it's going to happen this time around. I like Michigan State moving on. Louisville, yeah, 25-4. Everybody's hopping on that Louisville train right now. I'm going to hop on it too for this. Then Iowa and Houston. Honestly, don't know who's going to win this matchup. I mean, Houston doesn't face the type of competition that Iowa does throughout the season, but I think they've only had one loss. They deserve to win this game. I think Houston moves on. And 30-0, everybody's picking Gonzaga over Baylor, and rightly so. I got to put Gonzaga onto the Sweet 16. Same with Virginia over Ohio State. Same with Caleb Martin, or the Martin twins, not just Caleb Martin, over Lipscomb. And same with Marquette over Minnesota. You see these absolutely lopsided voting things like 30-0. I got to agree with them. And then Michigan will beat Kansas State. Then I think Tennessee will beat NC State. Iowa State, I think, will beat Virginia Tech. We'll go with the 5/4 there. Most people are picking Wisconsin as a 6 to upset Kansas as a 3, but I'm going to go with Kansas. They're just a more talented team at this point. I think they're more complete and have played better this season than Wisconsin has. Same with North Carolina over Auburn. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, Duke and Villanova battle the two of the powerhouses in the college basketball right now. I just got to go with the more talented team right now, Duke. Same with Kentucky over Purdue. Nothing against Purdue, but Kentucky's just a much better team at this point. Michigan State and Louisville. These two teams seem to play each other a lot during the NCAA tournament. I'm gonna go with Tom Izzo here against Chris Mack and Louisville. Louisville's done an amazing job this season in Chris Mack's first year, but gotta go with Michigan State moving on there to the Elite Eight. Then Gonzaga will beat Houston. Then Virginia will beat Nevada. I think that would be a good defensive game. Then Marquette. I'm picking them again. I'm putting them over Michigan. Michigan, besides the Indiana game, I think it was on Sunday or something like that. They've been kind of struggling recently, but I love Marcus Howard and Marquette. You guys know they're my sleeper pick team, even though they're now a 3 seed. I mean, I was picking them to be a sleeper pick when they were a 6 or a 7. I'm going to put Marquette moving on to the Elite Eight. Same with Tennessee over Iowa State and North Carolina over Kansas. Then 4th spot in the Final Four. As much as I want to pick my Cats and go with Kentucky here, I don't think it's going to be a 34-point game. Maybe it'll be like a 6 or a 7-point game. But I hate to say it, but I'm going to put Duke moving on here. Then Michigan State and Gonzaga. I'm going to agree with people here. Michigan State will lose to Gonzaga. I mean, Gonzaga's only lost 1 game the whole season. They've been absolutely killing it. I'm going to put them moving on to the Final Four. And then Virginia and Marquette. I got to go with everybody else. They're picking Marquette to move on to the Final Four. So am I. I'm picking them to beat Virginia. And then I think that Tennessee will beat North Carolina. Then 1st spot in the national championship game, Duke and Gonzaga. I know Gonzaga won earlier this season, but, I mean, it was a really close game, and Duke's just gotten even better since then. I got to go with Duke. Marquette and Tennessee. People are putting Marquette in the national championship game. They have 10 votes already, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But I just don't think they'll beat Tennessee here. Tennessee's been kind of struggling recently. I mean, they've been winning games. They've won like 13 in a row, but they've been really tough games recently. But I got to pick them against Marcus Howard and Marquette. I'm worried that in this matchup, Tennessee, who plays really tough, I think they just shut down Marcus Howard, and Marquette just doesn't have a response for that. And in the national championship game, Duke versus Tennessee, as much as I hate to say it, I got to go with Duke here winning it all. I think they're just the best team in the nation at this point, and hopefully I get proved wrong, but we'll see what happens. So I have Duke moving on there. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you are new. Let me know in the comment section what you think about my picks and what your own picks are, and I will see you all later. Thanks for watching.